I took my grandson to see what was the movie with Buzz Light?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, Keke Palmer is in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, it fucked me. I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for.
Let's get this straight. Disney was pandering to the gay community, a group they never cared for unless they paid for tickets to go to Disneyland, bought merchandise, or movie tickets to the animated movies. It was always profit over people, especially movies, because they chose fun, enjoyable quality storytelling over gender, skin color, and sexuality. That was it.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
But for some reason in these last few years, they started adding characters who are non-binary, queer, lesbians into their movies, and when the audience started complaining, they were labeled as homophobic, to the point where Disney doubled down and said, and even worse, putting the gay community in the crossfire because But for some reason, in these last few years, they started adding characters who are non-binary, queer, lesbians into their movies, and when the audience started complaining, they were labeled as homophobic, to the point where Disney doubled down and said,
we do not care.
And even worse, putting the gay community in the crossfire because he, she, they, them did not ask for this.
Is the AFL tone deaf? Is there double standards? We have now employed or paying millions for Snoop Dogg to play at the AFL Grand Final when his music is littered with homophobia. Forgive me for last week or my last post not knowing how homophobic his songs are. And now with all of this stuff going on with Isaac Rankin, and that has been going on for years, where we are trying to cut that out of our game by punishing, stopping players from saying these horrible things to other players on the field, there is no space in our game for homophobic slurs, racial slurs, anything derogatory, and yet we're going to put a man on stage to entertain our AFL crowd, one of the biggest watched games in the whole year, singing music that is littered with homophobia.
So you just discovered, like right now in 2025, that hip-hop, in my opinion one of the greatest music genres of all time, is celebrating its 50th anniversary, is homophobic? Where the hell have you been?
I want to talk about this in the comments. Double standards, tone deaf, who made this decision? Why do we think it's okay? This man is going to stand up and get paid millions, and yet we are punishing our players for it. Which well and truly justified. Punish them, fine them, whatever you've got to do to cut it out of the game. But don't then go and just completely go against all of those values and morals by having someone on the stage that is clearly homophobic. Let's chat about this in the comments.
What's the difference between trying to find a reasonable, mature response to a question posed by your inquisitive grandson about a scene featuring two women having a child, and saying homophobic things in your rap albums?
So there are actually people upset with Snoop Dogg because he said he doesn't want his grandson being introduced to homosexuality in a Disney movie. Why are you mad? If you're really upset about the whole Snoop Dogg situation, I'm staying far away from you because obviously you're a weirdo. Kids should not know about sex. I thought everybody knew that. Apparently not.
The team behind Inside Out 2 were told to make Riley less gay, according to former Pixar employees. The animated hit, which was released in June, followed Riley Anderson and the emotions inside her head as she hits puberty. Along the way, she meets fellow hockey player Val, who many fans assumed would be her love interest. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. On Monday the 16th of September, a report was published by IGN, which included interviews with 10 former Pixar employees, who were all laid off after working on the film. Multiple sources told the outlet that they were explicitly told to make Riley, who is 13, less gay. The report went on to say special care was taken to make Riley and Val's relationship seem as platonic as possible, even requiring edits to the lighting and tone of certain scenes. to remove any trace of romantic chemistry. One source said it amounted to doing a lot of extra work to make sure that no one would potentially see them as not straight. Studio bosses were uncomfortable with the idea of queer themes in the film, and an insistence on not including them was a big thing throughout, it was claimed. Towards the end of the report, another source said, "A lot of us accepted the fact that we may never see a major gay character in a Pixar movie."
I think Disney wanted her to be queer in the beginning, and I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. They were like, "Do you want Raven to be gay?" I said, "Why?" "Because you are." I said, bad reason. That's a bad reason. No. Raven Baxter never exhibited any type of sexual identity situation in the priors. I'm not being myself on this show. I'm being a character. Raven Baxter's not gay. No matter what the first 4 seasons looked like with me and Chelsea sleeping in the same room and us raising a family together, okay? That's not the case. We are friends who sleep in the same room. It's so funny because we're working on 6th season now and I'm talking to the EPs and they're like, "And you're gonna start dating?" I'm like, she don't need to date either. She's just gonna be nothing.
So they announced the cast of Link and Zelda in the new Legend of Zelda movie coming out. And to many people's surprise, they actually looked the part for the most part. Like it wasn't a weird race swapping thing or anything like that. But now the side of the aisle that likes to make fun of people who complain about like Ariel being black or Snow White being Hispanic, even though her skin is supposed to be as white as snow, are now mad because they didn't cast a man to play Zelda. You even have people saying, "Oh, this person was born to play Princess Zelda. So are you saying Zelda's always been a man?" Because this person was born a man. See, the casting people knew what they were doing with this movie. They knew that if you actually cast the characters that look like the characters, people are going to want to see the movie. If you cast people that aren't even the right gender for the character, they know most people are not going to see that movie. So it's going to be really funny continuing to see the outrage out of this when, like I said, these are the same people that made fun of people for complaining about what Ariel looked like in the live action movie.
Studio executives are like, yeah, let's cast a transgender to play the role of a female character. Hopefully, the casting controversy won't overshadow the movie itself, and hopefully, it won't flop at the box office just like The Little Mermaid and Snow White, and hopefully, the so-called journalists won't blame the movie's failure on the transphobic, racist, misogynistic straight man, so that hopefully, they can get their Christmas bonuses because of representation and diversity, only when it benefits them financially. You know why? Because they never cared about those stories anyway.
Like, if you're in 2025 complaining about mumble rap, probably racist.
What the hell did you just say?
You know what I mean? Like, that's like, if you haven't processed that, like,
that this is
different people talk different ways and that it's not their fucking job to fucking make sure that you from Kansas understands every single word that, like, why are you not trying to aspire to learn new things? Like, Boomhauer's homies know what he's talking about.
Wind, man. Or like the dang old candle in wind, man. It don't matter, man. It's the oldies, old time. You know what I think, man? Like them dang old, I think, therefore you are, man.
Well, that's what we tell ourselves, isn't it, Boomhauer?
But how the hell did we get to a place whereby criticizing mumble rap is now seen as being racist? Imagine equating a rapper who sounds like they're drowning in the ocean with being called the N-word by a white supremacist.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
Hi, everyone. So Southwest Airlines just dropped a bombshell, and it's going to be ending one of the country's most inclusive policies for flying. It has to do with plus-size travelers.
Oh, no. What happened? Oh, no. How terrible. That's just awful. How terrible. Oh, no.
So beginning January 27, 2026, the customer of size policy for Southwest Airlines is coming to an end as we know it. So there are no more free or automatically refunded seats for plus size travelers. Instead, passengers who cannot fit within the seat, so within the armrest, or encroach on either side of the armrest, will have to buy a second seat up front.
You know what that means, right? Time to hit the gym. It's your New Year's resolution.
So what does this mean? This really reverses a long-standing policy for Southwest, and some feel that it can make flying too expensive for larger size passengers.
If you start complaining that this is unfair and the airline is discriminating against you, now it sounds like you're being lazy. Like I said before, one cupcake a day keeps their gym membership away.
Southwest is making a ton of changes in 2026. Open seating's going, they're going to have assigned seats, bags fly free is ending, and now this. So there's a lot happening in Southwest. Please weigh in the comments, no pun intended. Let me know what you think of the customer of size policy and everything else Southwest is doing lately. Have a great day, everyone. Take care, stay safe, and follow me for more.
And whose problem is that? Because if you feel you cannot afford those tickets, then you must really, really think that your life is cheap or not worth living.
Bye, bitch.